So people say my voice never changed, do they? Let's put that to the test. Roblox once had to change the studs from round to square. This happened because of Lego's doing. The king of Legoland confronted Builderman with a copyright claim in one hand and a desert eagle in the other. And we are here. Alright. Thank you, Edward. Now that everyone is up to speed on why I didn't want to do a Roblox Burnout Madness retrospective, we can move on to the ones that are actually worth a damn. How exciting. If you haven't seen the previous retrospective, don't bother. Really, the best things about those videos was the thumbnail and the title, and that's about it, really. But we're done with that, we put that behind us, and now we can talk about a fun one. Fun facts, even. If you can call them facts, anyway. This is a series born out of my desire to mess around with chroma keying and green screen, but I couldn't think of a really good excuse to use it for anything. Until now. It was kind of an on-the-spot sort of idea, but wouldn't you know it, I had a winning formula on my hands. A formula that, incidentally, lended itself really well to rewatchability. Because I always said, there's 3 kinds of people who watch this series. The people who listen to everything I have to say and absorb all that, the people who are distracted by the background and everything going on back there, and the people who rewind the video to catch what they missed. Oh yeah, and there's also the collection of people who think everything I say in the videos was meant to be taken at face value. Which you were never meant to, but I can see how some of the things I say are not a far stretch of the imagination. Except all of that is completely debunked when you listen to the first fact I spout in the whole series.
Roblox once had to change the studs from round to square. This happened because of Lego's doing. The king of Legoland confronted Builderman with a copyright claim in one hand and a desert eagle in the other.
Unless you are prepared to tell me that there is in fact a Legoland, it is a monarchy, and whoever is in charge has a thing for big impractical handguns like the Desert Eagle. I'm pretty sure the only thing that's true about this is that the studs in Roblox were changed from round to square because they didn't want to get into legal trouble with Lego. That is the boring truth that I spun into an exciting lie. Or at least, stretching the truth so hard that you can barely even see the truth left in there. That one little tidbit of truth to it, completely overshadowed by the ridiculousness of what I just said. I also love, as I'm going through the video and looking at the comments, that, for one thing, I was shameless enough to like my own video, of course, and for another, how prescient these people asking for this to become a series. More on those later. I like how I can still see the Roblox GUI in this video, it's kinda charming. I don't remember whether I left it there on purpose, so that it looks like I'm still in Roblox to add to some confusion or juxtaposition, or if I just didn't know how to crop it out. But it kinda adds to the charm in a way. You gotta love how in these early videos, all the shenanigans happening in Gmod are pretty low-key compared to what I would do in later videos. I was practically one-upping myself with every installment, especially in terms of learning the way of Gmod. There are certain commands that would have been really useful to know, like this one, so that you wouldn't have seen that red flash when I crashed the car into a wall and lost health. Or even just turned on God mode or something.
Trolling is a sacred art that dates back to the beginning of what is only known as internets. One user, 1995 Jam, won the hearts of millions by trolling the ever-loving fuck out of people in Off Topic. But he was banned as a result of MSE6's celebratory first ban on her first day.
Oh yeah, that's the one that Jam himself actually commented on. I used to know him and a bunch of other people in this community that, frankly, the less said about it, the better. But a few of these facts were actually in-jokes about that community, and this was one of them. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure MSE6 banned plenty of other people before anyone ever got around to banning Jam. And I can't even prove that she's the one who did it. But we all like to think as much, don't we?
If you joined Roblox later than January 31st, 2008, get the fuck out of Roblox, you swine!
Yeah, maybe that wasn't in my best interest to promote that kind of elitism. I don't even remember why I picked that particular date, but I can tell you this much, these days, I'm much more equal opportunity in my insults. Which is to say, I am just as prepared to insult just about anybody else as I am to insult myself. Anyone who knows me knows I'm all about self-deprecation. But again, the video's meant to be satirical, so I don't think anyone took it that seriously anyway. I hope they didn't anyway. But seeing as that seems to be the most replayed moment in the whole video, that has me just that little bit more concerned.
The serious lack of creativity is the cancer that is killing Roblox.
Yep, that's some really good sound mixing, buddy. Since I was an inexperienced slacker back then, it didn't quite dawn on me to reduce the volume in Gary's mod at that particular moment when it got too loud to the point that you can barely hear what I said there. It's not as bad as Super Roblox Fun Facts for Cool People was, where I just straight up made the Gary's mod footage way too loud for the whole video, which drowned out half of what I said. But we'll get to that in a little while.
JJ5X5 is a furry!
This one turned a lot of heads too, because JJ was a big deal back then, and apparently it wasn't even common knowledge that he was a furry. Or at least, as he told me, borderline furry. Personally, I don't really see the harm in cartoon animals, but what would I know? But I do like how perfectly I timed that explosion.
More Roblox fun facts!
Ugh, this one bothers me. If I was going to keep the UI in the video, maybe I could have at least found a way to crop it a little better. These days it would have been such a simple fix to just move the top half of the GUI up a little bit so that it's on the top edge of the screen, but nope. All this potential in Sony Vegas that I just didn't know how to use or didn't bother learning, because my editing was not as sophisticated back then as it is now. Okay, calling my editing sophisticated is kind of a stretch even now, but you get the idea. It's kind of funny how hard I was trying to run Breen over in that clip, but I just could not for the life of me make it happen. And yet I was such a champ, or so lazy, that I just decided to keep it in anyway.
Places that have can you survive, live in a, survive a, tippy random object in a random liquid, who killed, VA, cart ride, create a, escape the, quiz, or anything that has to do with zombies, are usually fucking horrible.
The only part of this list I was exaggerating was me stopping to catch my breath for comedy purposes. Every single game concept I listed there was a massive cliche at the time. The front page was full of places with at least one or two of those examples easily. The Combine collapsing when the chair falls on him was achieved with the Combine being a ragdoll, and the sleep and wake tool to get him to stand upright until something hits him. Das Bullshit got a lot of mileage out of that tool when he was making Gmod Idiot Box, but I don't know if the sleep and wake tool ever made a comeback after Gmod got that one big update that one time.
Roblox thinks that making a fuck ton of hats will make Robloxians happy. However, this only goes to show how stupid, ignorant, and douchebaggy they are.
Ugh, that just aged like the finest wine. Actually, thinking about it now, are you sure I was talking about Roblox and not Team Fortress 2?
Roblox is forbidden from copying hats from other video games, TV shows, etc. But that doesn't stop.
Have no fear, that was not your X-Fire going off, that was mine. When I was recording the Gmod footage. Talk about Web 1.0, huh? Everybody uses Discord these days.
There is actually no such thing as hacking on Roblox. No one in a community like that of Roblox has the know-how, and must instead rely on the proper term, exploiting. Exploiting is the poor man's version of hacking, and takes no brains at all to do, and does not grant bragging rights, like legit hacking does.
That's actually a legitimate point that applies to more than just Roblox. Most of the people you call hackers aren't actually hacking. They're just script kiddies or exploiters, like I said in the video. Hacking would require you to actually know something about programming. Exploiting and script kiddies just download a script from somewhere. The only coding they do is figuring out how to run Python or whatever. If even that.
Tickets were part of Roblox's planned obsolescence scheme. They started making Roblox-only hats and gear to diminish the value of tickets more and more until they were completely worthless.
Oh, how utterly, accidentally prescient.
MSC6 can kiss my fucking asshole.
You know, I get the feeling that I really didn't like MSE6 when I made this video. I don't know, it's just the vibe I'm getting from this. And as a last bit of nincompoopery when I made this video, everything fades to black, except me. Quality. You think you can get this working? I imagine you've repaired about half as many ships as you've scuttled. Guess not. Alright, thanks anyway. So I didn't exactly break a lot of new ground with more Roblox fun facts, it was just more of the same. But you can tell the Gmod skits are getting to be a little bit more elaborate as I go. Although most of what's happening in the background is pretty self-explanatory as to how I did it. You can very obviously tell when it's just me doing all the actions as the player character, or when I'm doing ragdolls or the audible sound of thrusters at work. But I at least had some slightly more varied backgrounds that time around instead of just GM construct for every single thing in the same spot, sometimes with different depth of field because the camera tool changes that for whatever reason. I don't know if it still does that, but it did back then. But you can tell that things are getting a little bit more elaborate in the background, and that is a trend that will continue into the third installment.
Roblox has made about 793 useless trailers for their game, and boy do they lie.
And in that third installment, I did a very bad job of mixing the audio, so half of what I'm saying gets drowned out by whatever's going on in the background. That's on top of the potato quality microphone because I was using a new computer at the time, and I was still getting acclimated on how to make videos on it. I didn't really realize at the time that the noise suppression that comes equipped with Windows was a little overzealous to the point of making my voice sound, well, you just heard, didn't you? Later I learned a much better technique. Turn off noise suppression so that I get the quality back, record a couple seconds of dead air, then use that dead air as a sample for Audacity's noise reduction. It worked a hell of a lot better, I can tell you that much. I should also say that trying to aim in third person, especially in a view like that, is really fucking difficult, because that Combine soldier that you saw pop up back there, yeah, that was me. And I'm pretty sure that shot took a couple tries to get right.
The hat designers in Roblox easily run out of ideas and must resort to recycling old meshes and adding extra details to them, like the ice skull of Nevermore.
That platform the Creeper is hanging from isn't actually part of the map, which is a Minecraft-themed payload map for Team Fortress 2. I put those blocks there with a tool that I found in the Gmod toy box. Remember when that was a thing? Then I set up the Creeper and just started shooting him. You might also notice that this is the first episode where I use other sound effects instead of that little blip from Portal. In that regard, I wanted to have a little bit more variety, rather than using the same sound effect to introduce every fact. These next two skits don't even use Gary's mod. Instead, they're replays from Team Fortress 2. I remember a couple people shit-talking the video saying that I was just putting this in here to show off my skill in Team Fortress 2 or whatever the fuck. Even though, ironically, I barely even feature in these clips, if even at all. I think there's one moment in one of the videos where if you look real closely, you can see me cloaked as a spy, but that's about it. Meanwhile, in this clip, I'm taking the piss out of Telemon using upgraded swords to kick people's asses in Sword Fight in the Heights 4. Or was it 3 at the time? Don't know, don't care. But the point is, there's all these better swords that you can find on the map, so why would you even use the regular sword when the others are just objectively better? One of the most obnoxious I remember was the Ice Dagger, which would insta-kill you unless you were using Firebrand. All the smartasses would tell you, well, you just gotta stay away from him and keep your distance. Excuse me, what? Keep your distance? In a sword fight? Keeping your distance in melee combat is extremely fucking difficult, I'll have you know. But I'm not here to rant about that. I just find it funny going back to these and realizing that actually, there's pretty good reason people took me at face value with some of these. Even I can't even tell if I was being serious or sarcastic with half of these, but this was like 10 years ago, so what do I know?
The admins think they're funny, and try to prove this by creating hysterical hats and gear with amusing, overused names like Epic Sauce. Isn't that hilarious? If one defines hilarious as stupid, generic, and stereotypical, then yes, it is absolutely hilarious.
Blisteringly obvious sarcasm right there. And once again, blurring the line between TF2 and Gmod, but this time it is Gmod. Gmod Toy Box coming in clutch once again with a sentry gun and teleporter. And once again, no good way to keep the field of view from changing itself. I probably could have handled that in post, but I don't know if that would have looked good.
Builders Club members are the only ones that matter to the admins because they're the ones feeding their oversized, overloaded wallets.
A pulley to pull the sandwich, a rig dupe that I found in the workshop or toy box or whatever for the heavy, and me running after him as Hank the Combine soldier. Frankly, this is probably one of my favorite skits so far. Okay, this one might actually trump it. Given how much I adored Drybones at the time, and still do, I had to feature him in at least one skit. This is the first one to use Henry's animation tool. It's not perfect for all situations, but it really does help. I based this one off of a toy you could find in the toy box with turtles that just hop around. The sounds were added in post.
And to wrap things up for today, Anonymous is the shit.
I said anonymous here, not anonymous. A couple people misheard me there. But you can see that the production quality of these videos is going up because there's more elaborate setups, more audio being added in post, like the Combine chatter in this skit going on behind me. although I probably should have hidden those thrusters I used to make the train move. You can also tell I was having a hell of a time with the dismemberment mod that I found.
Oh great! Another Roblox fun facts video.
So the inspiration of this video's title was a podcast that a couple buddies of mine used to do, called Oh Great, Another Podcast. I had a feeling they might appreciate the little in-joke.
Roblox admins have a sick, twisted, and above all, unfunny sense of humor in which they hire brodies as moderators.
I don't actually remember which admin that was, or whether it was even true, but I do remember that Henry's animation tool came in clutch once again for this skit. And for another, thank God bronies are pretty much passé by now.
What's fun to watch is people falling apart a la dead Roblox characters. What's more fun to watch is jibbing people with the Apocalypse in Saints Row the Third. And not playing Roblox.
Ah, yeah, that one dates the video a little bit, doesn't it? Although it was neat getting all those people together in the TF2 server and coordinating them all like that. I haven't had that much coordination with that many people since I'd made the Falling Down skit.
Roblox is secretly under a totalitarian dictatorship, where everything from chat logs to private messages are tracked. Sending someone an invitation to a party in a Minecraft server is almost guaranteed to earn you a 1-week ban.
Once again, aiming from third person, and you don't even have an over-the-shoulder camera? Really, really difficult. What I can't remember is whether I had the pulley system open the door in the same shot, or if I used cookie cutter to splice two different cuts of that same scene together. But what I do know is the last thing Hank said was 3742, sightline is clear. And he said that because technically, he is designated as Overwatch Unit X3742 Alpha R. Yes, I remembered that by heart. Don't even ask.
No one is safe. Roblox will always find an excuse to ban you.
The door always flings open like that, even on this daytime rendition of Ravenholm. But I thought it'd be more fun for Hank to make an explosive entrance, on top of his appearance instead of that of Father Grigori serving to avert expectations.
Every new Roblox feature has approximately a 92.5% chance of being exclusive to Builders Club.
You know, I really don't know what it was with me wasting two different occasions of having SharpTH make a cameo in a video and completely waste it. There was Random Insanity 4, where he's off-screen and is the guy who shoots the rocket at Yoshi Man, in that Shoot Me Again, I Dare You skit, and the only time you actually see him is if you stick around for the outtakes at the end, where you see him tumbling on a failed take. And then once again here. That medic back there? Yeah, that's SharpTH again. Not that you would have known. God damn, I really feel bad about not giving the guy more to do.
Telemon changed his Roblox name to his real-life last name in an attempt to make himself seem more hip and professional, when in reality, all it did was make him seem more holeless.
Holeless. I don't even know why I said that, but I'm pretty sure I didn't mean anything by it. Mostly.
Every time a user buys Builders Club, Roblox creates another hat reskin.
Ignatius making his cameo for this series. This time I definitely used Vegas Cookie Cutter because in one take, I was moving the Heavy's arm to say, "Move now," and in the other, I was down below making the Creeper pop his head up. That is not something I ever would have been able to do if I were still using Windows Movie Maker, I can tell you that much.
Jared Valdez 2 apparently obtained his clearly stolen places from uncopylocked places or free models. What's actually the case is that the admins turned a blind eye and fabricated an excuse to keep the forums quiet. What actually happened in that case was the community lashed back and the admins reveled in their non-existent glory of pulling off one of the biggest trollolololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololololol
mods, I think it was Mr. Doombringer, talking about how every place that Jared Valdez 2 had that he had stolen was traceable to places that had been uncopylocked at some point or another. Now, I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I really wouldn't put it past Roblox to just be doing damage control. I was once able to get a model in free models of Ultimate Paintball CTF by Mike D. The whole entire place. As a free model. I don't know if that place was ever uncopylocked, so I can't be certain as to whether that's one such case. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it was yet another piece of evidence you could use to poke a hole in Roblox's flawed arguments. Obviously, though, I don't think it was them trolling when they said that. I'm pretty sure it was just a really bad attempt at damage control.
Reese McBlocks is a virgin.
Jesus Christ, that was holding no punches. That was mean-spirited even by Roblox fun fact standards.
And to bring this fine video to a close, I shoved my foot up Rainbow Dick's vagina.
I take it back, that was so much worse. Oh my god, why did I say these things? But that's how bad it was getting back then, man. I can't say I was entirely justified in saying that, but that's the point that bronies pushed me to. And let me tell you right now, I am really happy that that is, for the most part, done and dusted. To end this one off on a positive note, at least, I do love how one of the engineers, unprompted, actually obliged the scout when he said, "Need a teleporter here," and actually built a teleporter for him. I didn't tell him to do that, that was just improv on his part. Now, it was either super awesome Roblox fun facts for cool people or this episode that we just got through, where I actually had a script written with a bunch of fact ideas on it. I can't remember which one it was for, but I remember finding it one day, digging it out, adding to it, might have scrapped an idea or two, and then got to making the video. I say all this because the next and final episode in the series is one that I know for a fact started the process with writing a script for it, and I had help from a couple people to do it. We brainstormed, thought up some facts, rewrote a couple facts so that they would actually be funnier, and then I set about actually narrating those facts. I had footage of all that, I had audio of all that, but that has been lost on the old computer. So was all the behind-the-scenes footage of making the Gmod skits, which I'm really pissed about. But as is often the case, I had the idea to make the behind-the-scenes video, never got around to it, and now that I want to do it, all that footage is just inaccessible right now. But it is the one I have the most memory of making, so we at least have that going for us. Which is good, because this episode features some of the most elaborate setups in the series, or at the very least, setting them up was elaborate, even if they didn't necessarily look like much.
Roblox wants to become Twitter, and is forcing itself to transform into something it's clearly not.
It could have done a little better with the audio mixing here again, but it's been worse. To make this skit happen in particular, I set up a couple of the Combine soldiers and set up a big, quiet, unmoving enemy, or used NPC allegiances to make them shoot a roller mine or something. Basically, I had them shooting something that they could keep shooting without killing it or destroying it, and whatever they were shooting at wouldn't attack them back, or make any noise. Then I came up behind them and shot one of them in the head. But the scene took me like 3 or 4 tries because I kept missing. The giant antline guard in the background was made giant simply by putting the antline guard in the skybox.
Roblox takes great pleasure in whoring already popular places by hosting special events in them, allowing them to stroke their already overinflated egos more than they already were.
Once again, 2 different takes spliced into this one. First, me pumping the shotgun and running in, and then, synchronizing with the sound of the gunshots, propelled by a fizz gun, Bonnie goes flying through the door. I had a feeling with these skits, whether people liked Five Nights at Freddy's or hated it, they would enjoy it.
Of all the reasons Jared Valdez 2 should have been banned, he got banned over a porn-themed Facebook ripoff. God knows what took so long.
If that really is true, what the hell? I don't remember skeletons being in the forecast. Did you pipe down? I'm trying to talk here.
Oh, I didn't mean to frighten you prematurely.
Nerve of some
The
ghosts.
real chills come later.
Anyway, as I was saying, if that really is true, and I'm not saying anything in this series is 100% true, that really tells you a lot about Roblox's indifference, or, if you really want to get conspiratorial, ulterior motives. As for the skit itself, the heavy isn't actually there. This is a double dose of green screen, this skit. Originally it was just the Combine soldiers and the Pyro, one of the soldiers eating the heavy sandwich, watching the core. But when I look back at it, I decided, this is too boring, that's not eventful enough. So I went into GM Construct, into the big white room, turned it green, and threw in a heavy with low gravity. That, I figured, would be sufficient to spice up the scene a little more.
Originality is dead. The cookie-cutter tycoons and games that rip off Gary's Mod, Five Nights at Freddy's, and more get all the visits.
Yep, that's another one that aged like fine wine.
Lolris makes a
pretty penny by profiting off someone else's hard work and then firing them once they've served their purpose. Capitalism!
Oh, how prescient! Wouldn't you know that DevX practically fosters that kind of behavior? This is another scene that took a couple tries to get right because, 1, I missed a couple times, and 2, my computer could only handle so much excitement, so there were a couple takes where I landed the shot, but the game had a little stutter, so I had to reset the shot and do it all over again.
Roblox pays about as much attention to their fanbase as you're paying attention to me right now.
The first and only direct acknowledgement of the main gimmick of the series. This one was a lot of fun to set up, and unfortunately it's short enough to the point that you don't see the full story. What was supposed to happen was Hank walks up, sees what's going on, and stops to look for a minute, and then just turns around and leaves. But the voice line was too short to fit all that in. The ragdolls were propelled with wheels and thrusters.
Sonic the Hedgehog XX makes fun of fat people to disguise his fat people fetish.
Projecting, am I right? We have thrusters and wonky physics to thank for making that scene happen.
Roblox believes that the best PR practices are blatant ignorance and censorship. In response to any controversy, their first instinct is to pretend it never happened and ban all who claim otherwise.
Yeah, that seems like a very Roblox way of handling things. Armed with the knowledge of previous attempts at doing a skit like this, since walking through the security office and shooting Chica in the face was actually the first skit that I did on this map, I had a little bit of extra setup for this particular skit, which involved spawning an NPC, shooting into the face so that the computer could get the lag out of its system. The lag only ever seemed to happen the first time I did such a thing. And then I spawned another NPC for the actual take. It's hard to hear over the sound of me talking combined with the filter, but Hank said in that moment, "Sector clear, follow me for evacuation." That wasn't actually taken from any Combine voice lines or anything, that was just me, using settings in Audacity to match the sound of the Combine soldiers as best as I could. I came close, but I couldn't really get the gravelly effect in their radios that you hear. So I decided that was good enough and no one would really notice or care anyway, I figured. Hank escorting Foxy off the premises was actually going to be part of a larger arc that I was going to do, where Foxy would be on an adventure to come meet yours truly, since he is my favorite animatronic from the series. But I'm sure we all know how that panned out by now, which is to say, it didn't. Typical Zhao Zhao man, am I right? For some reason, among some of my friends, peers, and colleagues in the Legion of Zhao Zhao Man Discord server, the Zhao X Foxy ship still has traction. That's a long story, not what you think it is, and is something to talk about another day. But to end off the Five Nights at Freddy's skits, all I can say is I really wish I had that behind the scenes footage, because part of it involved me getting momentarily startled by the sound of a Wurlitzer playing all of a sudden. The map is basically a playable Five Nights at Freddy's Gmod map, so a lot of the functionality is still there. The AI actually doesn't do anything until it's activated, but all the ambient sound effects that play in the game, yeah, those still play. You can't turn those off.
Belgians get all the bitches.
I don't know. But I do know that this is the one skit that I had to record on the old graphics card, which I think was a Radeon HD 5570, which was the graphics card that the computer came with. I upgraded it because it wasn't powerful enough, and it was starting to cause problems. And then I had to get another graphics card because the GTX 460 that replaced it got clogged up with dust, overheated, and shit the bed. A GTX 960 would power my graphics until I got a brand new computer in 2020 as a Christmas present from 2019, since it showed up a little late. And this beast is equipped with an RTX 2080 Super, so that should future-proof this thing pretty sufficiently. The skit is one of the simpler, less inspired ones because I just needed one last skit to get the video ready, and I wanted to get something before that graphics card would shit the bed on me too.
And in conclusion, the 2012 April Fool's Day hack was an inside job.
The series ends as it began, in need of citation. That is, after all, what the series was all about. A series of citation-needed disclaimers delivered in a cheesy, corny, pseudo-informational voice. Not to mention an incredibly on-the-nose, scathing critique of the game I was discussing. Next up will be Roblox God of War, and after that, Raging Roblox Reviewer. But for now, that is one more Roblox-related memory to release from my conscience. I don't know about you, but I'm rather enjoying my life in exile. And you can bet that I'll be ready to share more of it soon enough.